You sure have been looking at my fireplace for an awful long while. What? You never noticed me? Don't worry about that. I won't be in the way for very long. Let me just introduce this story real quick. What happens when you have to roll for initiative in real life? Let me describe the situation. So this was a couple years ago, and names are obviously changed. Cast is as follows: me, the host of our games, and 250 pounds of Texan country boy. Kay, my best friend at the time, a small theater girl who didn't like conflict. Adam, another absolute unit of a lad, and another childhood friend. Jay, our DM, who shouldn't have had to put up with this kind of stuff. Then there was Mark. Mark was the result of my bad decisions, being a coworker of mine who I had been somewhat friendly with in passing. He'd mentioned that he'd been wanting to get back into tabletop RPGs, and being a dumb and friendly 18-year-old, I invited this near total stranger to the group so we could have that ideal party of 4. Now Mark had a couple of behaviors that I would now call red flags that I disregarded at the time. He was pretty homophobic and never stopped making suggestive comments about the women we worked with. But I was so desperate to play some D&D that I decided to ignore my gut feelings. The rest of the group took my vouching for him at face value, and we started out playing. I believe it was Rise of Tiamat. Kay and I were playing twin Irish fighters. Adam was playing a Norse barbarian, and Mark was playing a paladin of the goddess of love. The role-playing was pretty good. Kay and I had our firebrand down-to-earth combo going on. Adam had his dumb Viking meathead, and Mark was essentially comic relief as we joked that his paladin was Sir Bad Touch, being that his method of lay on hands was to hug, kiss the cheek, etc. of the one being healed. It was fine until that bad touch stuff started to move out of character. Kay likes to dress. We sometimes make jokes in our friend group about her being the well-endowed goth girl, as it were. Point is, I started to notice that whenever Mark thought Kay wasn't paying attention, he would be full-on staring at her chest. Same thing if she got up to get a drink, use the bathroom, whatever, full-on staring at her butt. This, of course, made everyone uncomfortable. Most of all Kay. But he hadn't said or done anything, so we, being a bunch of 18-year-olds not knowing how to tell off a 25-year-old, just kinda stewed about it and continued playing. That is, until about 5 to 6 sessions in. We'd all gotten pretty comfortable with each other, kind of brushed off Mark's weirdness, and even made a few cracks about it, which seemed to make him at least a little more sneaky about his perversions. Or so we thought, anyway. At one point, Kay announces that she's getting up to get a drink, and as she walks around the table, she walks by Mark, who slaps her butt. Hard. Like, hard enough to leave a bruise through leggings hard. Everyone, being caught in the surprise round, just kinda froze, dumbfounded at this jerk who was now laughing hysterically about inappropriately assaulting our friend in front of us. Adam, God bless him, was the first in initiative. He threw a nat 20 and delivered the most perfect hook I've ever seen delivered across a dinner table, and taking Mark out of his seat and onto the floor. Mark's turn was next, as he came up off the floor and tries going after Adam, rolling well enough to actually make Adam bloodied, specifically his nose. But I'm up next, so I decide to aim for his weak point and hinder his chances of reproducing, using my +2 steel toe boot, once again taking him to his knees. Jay spends his turn comforting Kay, who uses her full movement speed to flee to the back bedroom to cry, as Adam and I wrangle Mark through the house, and quite literally boot his butt off the porch, informing him that if I ever see him on my property again, I wouldn't hesitate to shoot him. You may denigrate my friends and I for how quickly we resorted to violence, and to that I respond, forget him, he started it. But that's not where this session ended, though it isn't that much longer. We go back to Comfort K. I apologize profusely and nearly in tears for ever inviting Mark in the first place, and we spend the rest of the evening watching movies and playing Cards Against Humanity. A few days later, I've just gotten home from work, and I'm about to get into the shower when I see a car pull into my driveway. Mark's car. I'm not about to have my bluff be called, nor get caught in a surprise round again, so I throw my shirt back on, grab my 12 gauge from my closet, load up a few shells of 00 buck, and go out to meet the man. He's out on my driveway with a machete in his hand, looking real brave until he sees the shotgun. I tell him politely that he has 10 seconds to get off my property before I turn his internal organs into new paint for his car. And he smartly turns right back around and drives off. I call the cops, answer some questions. Dude got busted down the road with the machete, a ton of weed, and other drug paraphernalia. Safe to say, he doesn't work at my job anymore. Well, that certainly was a roller coaster. Now, as a pacifist, I would say that a simple boot out of the house would suffice. I believe that would have prevented the escalation of machete versus shotgun at the end. I do applaud them for standing up for their friend though. It goes to show that it's important to take those red flags seriously in the beginning to avoid a crazy mess like this one. What do you all think about this situation?